Hello, friends, and welcome to Zionville, enforcing the mark of the beast worldwide. Let's bow for a word of prayer as we begin. Our great God and our Heavenly Father, this message encompasses things that all of us must know because of what is coming. Please be with us now by your Spirit, be with me as I speak, and be with those listening later on. In Jesus' precious name, and may the glory be all yours. Amen. Enforcing the mark of the beast worldwide. The mark of the beast issue is coming. The mark itself already exists and has for centuries, but the enforcement of the mark, which will comprise the final test for mankind, as seen in Revelation 13, is still future and comes at the crisis described in that chapter, the very near future from the looks of things. The mark and its enforcement are two different things which most people confuse. The mark is something the beast has. The enforcement is something the world powers do to ensure that everybody goes along with the mark or else. Only God's remnant will say no, Revelation 12:17. This is what Revelation chapters 12, 13, 14, and 17 teach. In order to understand this properly, we must deep study the Bible and history, not just pull a scenario from surface readings or out of the air and impose it on the Bible. The Scriptures present real history before it happens, so we will look to Bible prophecy and its real meaning throughout this video. In Revelation 13, we have the subject clearly presented. From just reading the chapter, it can be seen that the issue at the end of time is worship. Verses 4, 8, 12, and 15. It is nothing else. It's not Israel. It's not the Russians. It's not a mark on your skin. It's not anything as taught by the popular ministry today. They haven't got a clue what the mark actually is, because the God-given Protestant key of historicism for interpreting prophecy, as implemented by the angel Gabriel in the book of Daniel the prophet, this key has been lost to them, replaced by Jesuit counter-Reformation lies. One of these is the basis for dispensational futurism, for instance, which is what most people believe today, and none of it is true. Revelation 13 shows that the first and second beasts stand in opposition to the Lord God and His holy seventh-day Sabbath, the day of rest and worship, verses 5 to 7, 12, and 15 to 16. This is the scene. Everyone must choose one side or the other in that day. There will be no middle ground, as our chapter shows. There will be only two groups at the end of time. We will see this in plain relief when we discuss how the enforcement will work. All people will be on one side or the other. For now, just know that when the crisis over the mark hits, enforcement will be swift. Who we worship and the day of worship will be the issue with the Lord and with the world. This will show in our ecclesiastical alignment. See Revelation 13:17. The Lord and the people stand in opposition to each other because this is a world where sin is king, and sin is the transgression of the law, 1 John 3, verse 4. They don't desire the true God and His ways. What happens at the end will simply be an extension of their rebellious lifestyle now. And this is why it is crucially important that our lifestyle now be one of righteousness and true holiness. Read Ephesians chapter 4, verses 22 to 24. Both groups of people, the righteous and the wicked, are preparing for the final crisis or their preceding death with every breath they take, and most have no idea that they are preparing for eternal life or eternal death in all that they do. All of life is, in reality, an act of worship. One either worships the one true God and His only begotten Son, or he worships Satan. So if you say you're a Christian, make sure you really are. So much is happening in the world right now to bring all this to pass. In every area, prophecy is fulfilling, and prophetic trends are accelerating to the end. It's minutes to midnight. And here's the ringer. Ours is the first generation in history in which the enforcement will be able to happen in the broadest, most literal and complete sense. It never could in that total literal sense before our day, but some things would have happened in another way than the way they can now. And also, the whole world will know of all the issues before the axe falls, Revelation 18:1-5 and Matthew 3:8-10. We have instant communication now worldwide. God is kind, that no man might buy or sell. So how could a no-buy, no-sell punishment be implemented all over the world at the same time? Let's see. To buy and sell requires money or its cultural equivalent, as seen throughout history. It certainly is money today. How do we get here, and how will enforcement be possible? Money as payment has taken a long path through the centuries, and so has the means to enforce sanctions against people by taking away their money and trade privileges and everything they own. Let's take a look at both and see how this all will come together against God's commandment-keeping remnant at the end of time, when even most people who are currently Christians will desert him. Before money as we know it today existed, there was bartering. This was direct trade between two parties of or for goods and services. I'll give you this nice axe if you'll just kill that pesky mammoth with it that is eating my crops. Well, I'd have to think about that one. The axe doesn't seem enough of a payment for that kind of battle. This process was often cumbersome. Just imagine hauling your axe around with you until you found some willing or stupid enough to risk their life in a battle with a mammoth, just for an axe. I don't think so. Fortunately, along came money, which was also a lot easier to carry in your pocket than an axe, let alone a mammoth. First up, then, were coins. As with bartering, there were many permutations within the various cultures of the Old World, starting around 600 BC in Turkey, where coins became currency. Secondly came paper money. The Chinese invented it at least a millennium and a half later, and Marco Polo brought it back to Europe with him. Both coins and paper money made the crossing to the New World with Columbus and those who succeeded him. Now, obviously, there was no simple way for individuals, banks, and governments to keep transaction records except to write everything down in cumbersome ledgers, and this was destined to change as well across the centuries. Computers were the ultimate answer. The very first computer was the abacus seen here, going back to not long after the flood, and in fact it surely existed among the antediluvians as well. Other mechanical devices followed century after century. Algorithms were discovered and eventually punch cards were used. But the big break came with the introduction of electricity and electronic circuitry. This led, after World War II, to transistors and eventually to integrated circuits, microprocessors, initially made up of thousands and now billions of transistors on one chip. Your up-to-date cell phone has that many. The microprocessor chip in my iPhone has 16 billion transistors and can do nearly 17 trillion operations per second. The computing power of such devices is unreal. Banks recognized the advantage of computers early on and invented credit cards that people could use in lieu of cash money for all their transactions. And all of this was and is managed by computers. Now, even the credit cards themselves are being challenged by contactless payment systems like Apple Pay. Other companies have also joined the fray, like Samsung. Today, you need only wave your phone or your smartwatch at a store terminal or tap it with your card, and the cost of your items is instantly deducted from your bank account or put on your credit card. And in all this also, companies and governments know everything about you, who you are and what you buy at your local store and Amazon.com and everywhere else. And they can shut you down and out in an instant. That is what is meant by that no man might buy or sell in Revelation 13:17. It's coming, my friends, if you don't toe their line. But to do so then will be to go up against Almighty God. Don't even think it. And these modern advancements make the original credit cards look positively prehistoric. The new cards have amazing advancements. Biometrics are growing by leaps and bounds each year, reading your fingerprints, your face, or your iris, and cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Dogecoin. Sorry, Elon, it's Doggycoin. You put a dog on it. These are making their mark as well. We're a long way from the axe mammoth paradigm. And all of these technological wonders are now connected by the worldwide internet. Never before in history was this possible. And all of it is made possible by these amazing silicon chips. Which brings us back to the mark of the beast and its enforcement. The Bible shows, and Catholicism confirms, that the mark is Rome's replacement of God's holy Sabbath with the pagan Sunday, adopted into the Church in 321 AD. Of course, the Catholic Church claims that the change, Saturday Sabbath to Sunday, was her act, and the act is a mark of her ecclesiastical authority in religious matters. Henry F. Thomas, Chancellor of Cardinal Gibbons. And the authority of the Church could therefore not be bound to the authority of the Scriptures because the Church has changed the Sabbath into Sunday, not by command of Christ, but by its own authority. Canon and Tradition, page 263. The act of substitution, the Greek word is anti, in place of, was a slap in the face to our Creator, the seventh-day Sabbath being the sign and seal, Exodus 20, 8-11, and Ezekiel 20, 12 and 20. It's a sign and seal of the only true God, our Father, John 17, 3 and 1 Corinthians 8, 6. And likewise also the adoption of the Trinity amalgamation as God by the same power in 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea and finalized in 381 at Constantinople. Let Rome tell us. The mystery of the Trinity is the central doctrine of the Catholic faith. Upon it are based all the other teachings of the Church. Today's Handbook for Today's Catholic, page 11. And also, our opponents sometimes claim that no belief should be held dogmatically, which is not explicitly stated in Scripture. But the Protestant churches have themselves accepted such dogmas, such as the Trinity, for which there is no such precise authority in the Gospels. It's from the article Assumption of Mary, Life Magazine, October 30th, 1950, page 51. The true remnant people of God today are awakening from apostasy-induced sleep and are working to tell the world the whole truth via the three angels' messages of Revelation 14, 6-12, and the fourth angel of Revelation 18, 1-5, which repeats the three angels with a loud cry right before the close of probation. The powers that be will not like it, Daniel 11:44, nor will the frenzied mobs of false believers and worldlings stirred up by them, as the leadership 2,000 years ago were stirred up by the mob against Jesus, Matthew 27, 20-22. They will call for no buy, no sell sanctions against those who stand fully for the Lord in that day, his true and final remnant, and eventually death, Revelation 20, verse 4. The first and second beast of Revelation 13, the Catholic papacy, verses 1-10, and Protestant America, verses 11-18, will push the entire planet into this ultimate rebellion against the Lord God and his Son, Jesus Christ. And then shall the end come, Matthew 24:14. Christ will return with all his holy angels, an invasion from outer space. The world has seen nothing like it, only in the movies, which will pale in comparison with the real thing. 1 Thessalonians 4, 16-18, and 2 Thessalonians 1, 6-10. This is where modern computerization will play its role in enforcement on the worldwide scale necessary in those troublous times right before the second coming. There will be only two groups then, and they will be known to earthly authorities as they are also known to the Lord. It could not happen this way, as we've said, without computers and the internet that now exist only in our time, when all the other prophetic trends are also rushing for total fulfillment. It's high time to stay awake and repent in every way you need to. We need to. Get ready, get ready, get ready. We have been discussing these things on Facebook and now YouTube for over 11 years as of 2022. Look through the videos on this channel for many details that I couldn't address here. I believe you will have your questions answered by doing so. May the Lord richly bless those who will give him a chance to prove himself true. I pray that you will be one of these people. Jesus is coming soon. Maranatha.